When we talk about art or when we talk about career fields like acting, photography, most people assume that it's not gonna be how it is in other career fields. But I don't really agree with it.
Walk us through the different types of photography. Like, I'm aware of a very few, like wildlife or a candid or a street photography. Like, what are the different styles of photography?
Art of photography itself is, something that documents things. But for them, I realized that the beauty of existence lied simply in being and becoming. Exhibition is not the only career path for photographers. You can get your picture submitted to magazines, for example.
Are there any cues for a person to look good in a photograph?
Once you start forgetting that the lens or the camera is out there and just be yourself, I feel like you learn to grow comfortable around it.
Being a philosophy student and an actor, do you read too much into people, and does it help you or does it backfire?
Manifestation can work. I feel like you just have to stop letting yourself get in the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
More than people, I feel like you're the
Absolutely.
person
Roadblock, biggest roadblock.
Why is that embarrassing? You can have a dream and it may not come true, but at least you had the dream and people know about it. Isn't that great? So I would definitely want to encourage people, if you feel like you're at that stage where you're not really comfortable with a lot of things that comes with being an actor or a photographer, I would definitely recommend going to an institution, learning about it, and coming back and experimenting again.
So, Prapti, give us a crash course in photography.
I would like to really tell people that.
Hello, namaskar. Welcome to Navigate with Ketki Sane. Before I introduce today's guest, I have a funny story about how we started and how it's going so far. So, the only thing that I knew about her is that she had done her acting course from NYU and she's a budding photographer. 1 minute into the conversation, if I'm being honest, I was like, why does she have this accent? And me being me, I couldn't hold myself back. And I didn't want to assume and like be this person that like just cook stories in my head, because this was a very detrimental question if I were to host her, because I have certain parameters as to why I would want to host somebody. And I like very politely asked her, do you know how that conversation went?
Yes.
What did you say? Like, what was my ask?
You were like, well, you asked me where I am from,
Huh.
and then you were like, why do you have that accent?
So what did you think when I asked you this question point blank in like a minute into the conversation?
I was like, damn, she's curious. That's what I thought.
Yeah, because her name is a very Indian name, and I was like पूरी जिंदगी इंडिया में बिताने के बाद 3-4 months यूएस जाके कहाँ से आ जाते हैं लोगों के पास accent. But then she explained, like, she has been in India for like 10 years, and after that she was in boarding, which was like gave her a lot of international exposure. Post that she was in the US for like good 5-6 years. Then I was like, yeah, this is adding up. I can have a detailed conversation with her. I would like to know about her, and that is why we have her today. Her name is Prapti Bhavsar. She is an actress, a photographer, and a writer. So, welcome, and I'm glad to host you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So, let's start with the basics. You told me that growing up, you were very fond of playing pretend. And I feel like every kid has done that, right? So, what about that game stayed with you so much that you chose this as an acting career?
I feel like the kind of freedom that comes with it, really. It just always lets you stay a child within and without.
Oh,
So I feel like wanting to not ever let go of that feeling is why I thought that maybe, okay, acting is fun. Maybe I want to make it into a career, and for the majority of my life, I've heard people tell me that this is something that you just do when you were a child. This is not something that you make a career out of. But along the way, challenging those, beliefs that people kind of projected onto me has been quite a journey, but quite a rewarding journey, I would say.
So I haven't had the chance to interview a lot of actors, rather no actor, so far. But whatever interviews I've seen of them, your answer stands very unique because I didn't come across anybody saying that they wanted to become an actor because they wanted to stay in touch with their inner child. Maybe this is a wrong perception that I feel that people who choose to be actors, it could be the child part, but then they're very much in tune with their emotions, maybe as an adult, which is why they choose acting. So like, where do I stand on this?
So I feel like, well, I studied psychology in college, and I feel like regardless of what your profession or your career looks like, a human being should be naturally in touch with their emotions.
True.
So for me, I don't really associate emotions with acting. Definitely, I mean, there's a lot of science that goes behind character development, the work that we put into bringing a script to life. But I feel like I've never thought about it that way. I mean, there's people out there who think about it that way, and everyone has their own journey, their own process. But for me, it's never been that. For me, it's just a kind of, as I said, it's just a freedom that being an actor just gives me. You get to go up on stage and you get to meet amazing people from all around the world, and you get to define what your idea of success looks like, in an industry where people assume that to have a successful career in acting means you are supposed to have good industry connections, you're supposed to have done these films with these production houses, or you're supposed to make this much money, you're supposed to get these brand deals. I feel like just making a movie with your friends or just doing a small theater play for kids, for me, it's equally rewarding, and it's equally the definition of success.
Sure, sure. Interesting. But having said this, does it really add up the math? Like, how do you then manage your finances? I mean, passion and choice is one aspect, but I feel industry connects is an equally important part. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, I feel like it goes for any career that you're about to have. You need people. You need people who are going to teach you how to survive an industry that they've already been a part of. But there's something that my dad, who's here with me, he's taught me that you are responsible for your source of income. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to come through your career that you're pursuing. Right, there are two. It can be two different things. Like when I was back in the U.S., I used to work in a hotel. That gave me a lot of confidence, and it wasn't related to acting or anything that I wanted to pursue. But I figured out my source of income, and then I continued to pursue these things. So I feel like, I mean,
Sure, sure.
at the beginning, it doesn't like the money's not gonna come, but maybe you can try other things, to survive.
Sure, sure. Also, I feel that creativity on a hungry stomach isn't as rewarding. I may not be able to put this thought across very correctly. Like from the writer's lens, what I did back then was after a year of trying pure writing, I gave up on it because I wasn't getting paid. And what I realized is that after being able to support myself financially, even the creative juices started flowing. So I believe you come from the same thought process somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Why NYU and why not NSD or FTI?
Well, because I was already pursuing my bachelor's at Michigan State, and then I came across this acting program and this screenwriting program at NYU, and I knew its reputation. I knew the reputation that the university had, and I got in. So I just felt like maybe this is the right place for me to explore this thing that I've always wanted to do. I took up my first class on acting in front of camera, and I was really not comfortable to be in front of the camera. But it's been a journey, just getting yourself comfortable in front of the camera, and even to like act in front of a bunch of people, even to speak in front of strangers. I feel like these are the things that people don't talk about enough when talking about like public figures or people who want to be in the public eye. But it's a challenge too, because you're constantly questioning everything that you're doing. You're so insecure, and I feel like it's getting over that insecurity. And I feel like institutions like this can really help you get there, more than anything.
So when you decided to yourself that you want to pursue acting, who is the first person that you called back home?
My dad.
And what was that conversation like?
He knew that at Michigan State I was doing psychology and theater. But
Okay.
theater was very different from film acting. When I was doing theater, I realized that maybe this is something, media acting is something I want to start exploring. And when I told him that, okay, there's this program at NYU and I have to submit a story. If they like the story, I might get in. And I got in and he was really happy. My family was really happy and they were like, you have to do this. That summer I had a choice between coming to India to visit my parents or to do NYU. And they asked me to do NYU because that just meant one step closer to getting to my dreams. So they've been very supportive that
Sure,
way.
sure. Happy to hear. Tell me, how did you stumble upon photography?
Photography. So this is a funny story. Well, I had to do a education abroad program, and I really didn't want to take any boring classes. So I was really just trying to get out of having to take any boring classes abroad. And then I came across photography and documentary filmmaking, and enrolled for those classes and in Spain. And I met this amazing, amazing teacher. His name is Alejandro Perez, and he's this amazing photographer. And his teaching had a great impact on me. Like, he taught photography very differently. We were talking about this earlier on call, how I didn't really use a camera. I don't want to jump ahead, but how
Go
I
with the flow,
didn't
yeah.
how I didn't use a camera and I used a phone, and that's what he taught us. He asked all of us, all the students in the class, to use the phone, so you don't feel like you need to master any technical skills, because photography is about that, but it's also about what you see out in the world. It's not really about the technicalities of it, but the relationship that you build with it. So, yeah, I feel like photography became what it became for me because of the teacher I had. And he taught me that maybe this is something that can show you different parts of yourself that you are not in touch with yet.
So, does being an actor give you an edge as a photographer?
It doesn't, I don't know how you define an edge, but it definitely gives me the confidence to just go up to people and be like, hey, can I take a picture of you? If that's okay.
Okay.
I see my other friends struggling with it because they're like, oh, maybe approaching a stranger, I don't know how they're going to feel about it. But being an actor, you've embarrassed yourself so much in front of people on stage that just feels like, okay, this is so doable.
Okay.
So I feel like that way it's given me a lot of confidence, and definitely the vision that I need as a photographer. Like, the moments that seem too ordinary to some people, for me, I feel like, okay, maybe I see something here. Maybe there's a story I can build out of it.
Sure. So, what has been one of the most difficult experiences being an actor while you were learning?
Being an actor, the most difficult experience.
Like you said, you've embarrassed yourself way too
Oh
many
my
times.
God.
So, some role that you were not able to pull
Oh my
off.
God, I
and-
have the most embarrassing story for it. So, the summer of 2023, I came back to India and I did this residential training for actors in South India in Auroville, Pondicherry. It's called the Adishakti Laboratory for Theatre Arts Research. And we had to do improv. And that was something that I struggled with as an actor. So I had to go up on stage and I was supposed to be drinking a glass of water, and I had to act as if I don't really like the water. So when I go up on the stage, I drink the water, only it's not water, it's lemon juice.
Okay.
And then I had this terrible reaction. I end up spitting up on the stage and in front of all these actors, and it was just so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. It just scared me to do improv even more.
Okay.
Yeah. But once you survive that, you can basically do anything.
Sure. Who is that actor or actress that you look upon to?
There's been many people that I have met along the way. And this is something that I've recently come to learn, that I've started defining actors very differently, because, it's not just a celebrity that you see, but there's a lot of my friends who act really well who are not really in the, public eye. And I would definitely have to say one of my best friends from Spain. His name is Manuel. I think he's just a really brilliant actor, only because he has so much fun with it. That's something that I've got to witness firsthand, and I feel like that's what he's taught me.
Yeah.
So if you're having fun with it and if you're happy, then who cares where you are at in your success journey,
Walk us through the different types of photography. Like, I'm aware of a very few, like a wildlife or a candid or a street photography. What is your style? And like, what are the different styles of photography?
Well, there's many different kinds of photography. Definitely, what I have specialized and trained for is documentary photography, and I feel like documentary photography is very unique. I feel because you also have to kind of maintain the truth that you have to maintain the truth of the subject matter that you're capturing. You have to also kind of tell their story without merging it with yours per se. I don't know if I'm making a lot of sense, but that's how I perceive documentary photography to be. Like if I have a vision, I also have to leave some room for the story, for the reality of the story.
So, what would a documentary photographer do differently than a non-documentary photographer? If I have to just have two buckets.
I would say
I mean, what exactly do you mean by sticking to the truth?
I feel like being curious and being a good listener. I feel like especially if you're capturing, let's just say you're capturing a new place, learning about the history of the place, learning about what makes that place unique, learning about the kind of people that live there. So I feel like that kind of curiosity to get to the depths of it while maintaining the truth. I feel like that is something that a documentary photographer would have to do. It's like doing your homework, you know?
So, does it so is it like the literal meaning of just documenting a few things on the way and then going back and weave a story out of it? Is it how it happens?
For me, that's how that happened.
Okay.
You know, I feel like there are documentary photographers that I've met in my life who have a vision, who have a story, and then they go out. But for me, I've done one project so far that I've put out in the world at least. And for me, it wasn't like I didn't decide on it. I didn't decide that okay, this is the story that I'm going out with, and this is specifically what I'm going to be looking out for in the world. It was just something that I just enjoyed doing. And once I had like a lot of pictures that kind of, you know, when you put them together, it just starts making sense and it just turns into a story. So that was something that happened for me.
Sure, sure. So, have you always been this articulate and clear, or has there been a lot of chaos and storm that you have internally navigated to be able to be at peace with yourself the way you are right now?
Absolutely. Like, I feel like I would be lying if I said I haven't had to go through that. I think any human being would have to go through that to reach a certain kind of clarity, at least for themselves. I feel like we talked about this yesterday, but I feel like writing helps a lot. You know, when you're just writing and it's just you and a pen and a page, I feel like things start making sense because it's not as crazy as it is. It's in your mind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, over the period, I've realized that certain things that you amplify in your head aren't as big as they are. And sometimes, while you're on the journey of, understanding yourself, you feel that you are the only one who is going through this. But that's absolutely not the case. There are like hundreds of people going through the same journey. And then I believe having conversations like these help.
Absolutely.
Listening to each other's lived experiences is what actually throws light on your own darkness, if I have to
Yes.
like just put words to it. Okay, now tell us about your first exhibition. First of all, congratulations
Thank you
on
so
that.
much.
Tell us all about it. How did it start? People watching this, where should they come to see it? How long it's going to be? Like, just spill everything out.
Okay, so I'm spilling all my secrets. Well, the exhibition is called The Oblivious Faces of the Unseen, and I have captured the Adivasi communities of Chota Udaipur region and nearby villages. I told you the story yesterday, but for the audiences who don't know that, I wasn't doing really well mentally, and I just started photographing them as a way to escape the kind of reality I was in at the time. And I grew up in Chota Udaipur, and in many ways, I grew up with them because it's a home to that community, and I feel like photographing them didn't seem like just going out there and photographing strangers. Even though I didn't know them, every photograph was a conversation. You have to ask their permission if you could take their photographs, because some women who are not really familiar with the kind of with the concept, they might get uncomfortable, and that's very understandable. I would too if someone would just start randomly taking pictures of me on the street. So I feel like it started that way, and then I realized that they were just so open to it, and that made me curious. Even though they were not really familiar with the concept, I was very curious to know what attracted them to this. And they told me something that that translates into English is like, a river cannot be captured into a pot. So I mean, this whole series is like kind of a critique on our modern culture that's so obsessed with documentation and preservation. I mean, the art of photography itself is something that documents things. But for them, I realized that the beauty of existence lied simply in being and becoming. That's what I learned through my conversations with them, and that just really put this idea in my mind about oblivion. The fear of impermanence and the fear of being forgotten that haunts us as human beings. We do everything to not reach that. We create art, we leave ourselves in little things before we have to leave the world. I feel and that's something that I wanted to talk about, or that's something that I wanted to express in my series. So I feel like philosophically they have kind of showed me a different way of being. And then, especially talking about Adivasi communities of our country, they remain marginalized because of the struggles and the stereotypes that we kind of project onto them. So that is something that I wanted to cover as well, and focus on humanity. That's the one thing that connects every single human being, and it doesn't really take into account where you come from, who you are, what gender you are, or what race you are. So I feel like that was at the core of it. That's what the series is about: celebrating humanity, celebrating what connects us rather than what makes us different. Did I cover everything?
Yeah, you could touch base upon
the exhibition.
The dates, the timings.
Absolutely. So the exhibition is in the Chota Udaipur Museum of Adivasi. It's a very special place because that's where I've captured the communities. The communities are from Chota Udaipur, and the museum is of the Adivasi community. So the exhibition is going to be there from March 9th, and it's going to stay there for a month. You're welcome to come, and there's not an entrance fee. And yeah, you can just...
Sure. So educate me about how exhibitions happen. So is it like your solo exhibit, or there are multiple photographers, or if at all there is a budding photographer watching this and wants to exhibit something, what is the process like? How did you approach them? What are the small to big scale exhibitions or photo galleries in India? Like, if you can name a few
Absolutely.
that could like benefit somebody who is watching this and aspires to become a photographer.
So exhibitions, there's different kinds of exhibition. You can submit 1 or 2 pictures that you really like for a theme that a museum is having. But if you want to do a solo show, you have to submit an entire series, tell your story, what the exhibition and the series is about. What I did was, when I had everything, when I had my story, when I had my pictures...
How many photos did you click?
I took more than 300 pictures.
Okay, and shortlisted to how many as a part of the exhibit?
52, okay. Yes.
So there's no cap on how many photos you can exhibit if you're a solo exhibitor?
There's not really a cap, but the thing is, museums don't really take many pictures because especially if they have a theme and if they're taking many photographers, they're going to take 1 or 2 pictures that they really like. Correct. If you're doing a solo show, they recommend, at least for beginners, that you showcase 40 pictures.
Okay.
So that's
you have 40 pictures up there.
Yeah. I have more than 40.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm breaking all the rules.
That's how it should be.
That's how it should be, the rebellious Prapti. Yeah, but I feel like 40 is a good amount because it's not too much and it's not too little. It has, enough room for you to tell a story. to get your concept across. I feel like if you wanna, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about. Exhibition is not the only career path for photographers. You can get your picture submitted to magazines, for example. You can, you can get your own feature with the exhibition. And I feel like the purpose of exhibition is educating in many ways, is educating people about what your series is about. For me, that's what it was, especially because a lot of our young generation, they don't really know about Adivasi people. And I feel like that's something that they need to know. So for me, that's the purpose that I went in with. And this exhibition that I'm hosting at the Chota Udaipur Museum is just going to be for the kids.
Okay.
They're the priority. It's schools are going to bring them, and they're going to, educate them on this topic that really needs to be taught.
Sure. So can people buy any of those photos?
Not right
Okay, so
now.
again, these are two different types of exhibitions where one can buy art and one where it is only purely educational.
Yeah, or like these pictures few years from now can have great archival value, because this is documentary photography, and you can submit it to universities. You can, this is about a particular tribal community and their ways of being, which differ drastically from what how we live. So I feel like that is very interesting, and that is something that people need to know about. So I feel like in that way you can also do that. These are not for sale, but these are for educational purposes. This is preserving them, preserving their history.
What's the name of this tribal community?
Adivasi.
Adivasi is a very generic name, right?
well,
I mean, I'm asking,
yes,
does it have like a
absolutely.
very specific name?
So there's different, Ratwa community, if I
Okay.
had to kind of
Okay.
narrow it down. But I kept it kind
Fair
of
enough.
generalized
Sure.
because, yeah.
So do you want to capture more such communities in different parts of the country? Do you aspire to do that?
I see this is something that my professor specifically asked me not to worry about at this stage, that,
Nothing to worry as such. Like, do you aspire? So after conducting one Adivasi exhibit, do you want to do more of it, or you want to just figure and take time and decide
Yeah, I
as
feel
and when
like
time comes?
I feel like I would love to do more of it, but definitely not kind of limit myself to just one
Sure,
topic.
sure.
But yeah, it will be it will make me so happy to get to capture a lot of communities from different parts of our country, because our country has a very, very rich culture.
Sure.
So, that could be amazing.
Yeah. So 10 years down the line, you see yourself doing more of acting or doing more of photography, or both?
Absolutely both. And writing. I want to do so much. I feel like I just want to continue to definitely act, make films, do photography. I feel like, there's going to be moments when I'm not getting any work in acting. So maybe I'll have this to kind of come back to. And if I'm not getting, if I'm in a place where photography is not really accessible, I can always write. So for me, I just want that kind of freedom, to just move across all these dimensions.
Makes sense. So I've seen a couple of your photos from your Instagram handle. Is there a particular reason why we have chosen this, like black and white, as the color scheme, or talk to us about color psychology for you as a photographer?
As a photographer, yes, absolutely. I just love black and white photography. When I took this class in Spain,
Incidentally, you're wearing black and white
yes, this
combination
was the
also.
purpose. I just love black and white photography. For me, it just feels timeless. If a photograph is in black and white, you can't really tell what time period it is from. It can just move across all these timelines. Yeah, that's the right word. The word I was going for, horrible. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like that's there, and I feel like I just love a photograph looks when it's just black and white. There's just no color, and then there's just gray, and then there's black, and there's the white, and you can see it the way you want to see it. Because I feel like if it's a colored photograph, kind of, you just know how to. I mean, it's like you're being told what to look at. If it's black and white, it's like there's so much room for interpretation. There's so much room for projection. The audience can project whatever they want to project onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounded very poetic.
Yeah.
So Prapti, give us a crash course in photography.
So I feel like I can answer, especially for this series, I used an iPhone, and I would like to really tell people that you don't really need a great camera to take good pictures. There's a lot you can do on your iPhone as well because it's really accessible to everyone. I feel like the first point would be to really educate yourself on all the settings that you have available. There's a lot of YouTube videos that are out there where you can just teach yourself how to use exposure, or how you can use the brightness, the brilliance, everything. I feel like once you educate yourself on it, you learn to experiment, and you start realizing how you want your photograph to look like. Then there's also the second, I would say, is also the filters. I mean, I really believe editing is part of photography. There are many people who don't edit the pictures and they just leave them, they just put them out in the world authentically without editing them. And that's another way to go about it. But if you're about to edit, there's different filters that you can, experiment with. The third would be lights. Lights and shadows is something that really changes a photograph. It really changes how a photograph looks. So I feel like I would really recommend using little props that you have available at home to experiment. For example, you can use your phone's torch. You can use a lamp. You can, I feel like you can try it's experimentation. With lights, because I feel like it makes a huge difference. Also, exposure. There's also learning to use the focus point. I feel like what is the story that you're trying to say? Do you want to blur out some details? Do you want to leave those details? They tell a different story, right? And then I would say learning to mark your own signature as a photographer. I feel like once you start photographing a lot, you kind of find your own style, what it is that makes your photograph yours. So I feel like as a photographer, just having that little signature, that little detail that makes it yours. I feel like, yeah.
Have you found your signature yet?
Right now, I would say yes. I feel like it's, well, it's black and white, definitely. Like, if people think about my photography, they're going to know that it's going to be black and white. So that's one of it. Another is also, I document a lot of mothers and their kids. Yeah, it's one of my favorite subject matter. So I feel like a lot of it is, yeah.
Any specific reason why?
Especially for the Adivasi, what I realized that I would, travel to a lot of villages nearby, and I would see really young mothers, younger than me. And,
In
them.
that sense.
Yeah, and them taking care of their kids. And I don't know, just something about that. I just saw a lot of innocence. Yeah, and I just tried finding ways of capturing that somehow.
This could become a whole new topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you turned like there was a shade that changed on your face when you mentioned this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So are there any cues for a person to look good in a photograph? Like for example, coming from me, if somebody were to ask me Ketki pose for a photo, I'm like awkward as shit. And so can you teach me to pose better?
Absolutely. What I've realized is it's less about changing the way you pose, and it's more about changing the mindset you carry. I feel like I used to be really awkward in front of camera as well. I was really not comfortable with it, and I would just shut up. I would just stiffen up because I didn't know how to move freely in front of a camera.
Yeah.
So I feel like that a lot of that comes from, again, the unrealistic standards that are set out for us and how you're supposed to be looking. And I feel like the key is to be authentically yourself.
Sure.
Once you start forgetting that the lens or the camera is out there and just be yourself, I feel like you learn to grow comfortable around it.
Yeah.
you know.
Sure. I mean, I'm with you on this, but there are
We
times when like my legs are like almost like crooked, and I'm like in that sense. So, are there any tips for posing better? Like teach me to pose better.
I feel like as an actor, that's what I learned, how to carry yourself. So, what I would recommend for people who really want to change the way they look on the camera, I would say start kind of experimenting in front of the mirror. You know, when you're alone, when you're in your own safe space, try capturing yourself. I feel like self portraits, people who are into photography, I feel like self portraits is a great way to get yourself comfortable in front of the camera. So, I would definitely say take some pictures of yourself, show up in front of the mirror, experiment a few things, and see what you like looking at, you know. And I feel like once you start liking what you see, it wouldn't matter if other people like it.
Sure, sure. So I have a this or that rapid fire for you.
Okay.
Photography or acting,
Acting.
NYU or Barcelona.
Oh my God, New York. NYU, yes.
This one's tough. God of small things or the lunchbox.
Oh my God, Kepki, no. Oh, this is impossible. I don't know. I feel like it's impossible for me.
What was it that moved you so much about the God of small things? Like, I'm probably talking about this first time on camera. Um, Ever since I have read that book, I have done multiple rereads. Um, and I have this very bold, audacious dream that someday I want to win a Booker. The way she has. And remember, we were talking yesterday about how, like Mitali specifically said that she lets an idea sit well. And Arundhati Roy, as far as I remember, uh, this book she had been penning down for a good 7-8 years.
Yeah.
So for the Booker Prize book that I have in mind, I already have a title.
Wow.
I already have like a rough idea of the theme, and I believe it's going to happen.
I believe it's going to happen too. There's no doubt about it.
I'll send the first draft to you.
Okay, absolutely. Yay.
Cool. Okay, if you were to take one last picture, what would it be? And you can't say your family.
Oh. Probably a picture of a child or a kid. I feel like I love kids. I feel like I find most of my pictures in the series are about the kids. I feel like because they don't know what's happening, they just they bring out so much authenticity in the picture. So I feel like definitely a kid.
Sure, cute.
Yeah.
So, what would be your closing thoughts? And what is that one message that you would like to deliver from this podcast?
Well, there's a lot of them. But if I had to sum it up, I feel like, when we talk about art or when we talk about career fields like acting or photography, most people assume that it's not going to be how it is in other career fields, but I don't really agree with it. I feel like if you want to act but you don't have the natural talent for it, you can get an education, you can go ahead and train yourself, and you can get there like any other career field. So I would definitely want to encourage people, if you feel like you're at that stage where you're not really comfortable with a lot of things that comes with being an actor or a photographer, I would definitely recommend going to an institution, learning about it, and coming back and experimenting again. And I feel like especially with my photography series that we've been talking about, I would definitely want to encourage people to read more philosophy. I feel like a lot of the things that I just do in the art world, I try to connect it back to what it is that I want my life to look like, what it is that makes me me. These questions that not many people think about these days. So I feel like that kind of reflection and introspection that you need as a human being at every stage of your life, I feel like it can make a huge difference, especially when you're making your art. So I feel like that. And yeah, being happy, trying to be happy and having fun with everything that life throws at you. Definitely. It's a very generalized message, but I feel like it's helpful.
Sure.
Definitely.
I would like to ask you one question. So, how was it being an Indian in a pool of Americans out there? Was it easy, difficult finding your place? How did you navigate um, that piece of you?
It definitely is struggling, at least in the beginning, because when I flew to the US, I was alone. I didn't have any family there. I didn't speak good English. I wasn't really comfortable um, being around strangers, and I wasn't really comfortable in my own skin to live in a country alone like that. But I feel like I feel like if you just start not thinking, or like if you stop putting yourself in that box that, oh, I'm an Indian in this American land, I feel like, and if you just start going out there without thinking too much and start making friends and starting conversations with people about things that you have in common, I feel like things get really easier. At least that's what helped me. I don't know. Also, being an Indian, people just kind of it's a given thing. Like if you're an Indian, and if you're an international student in America, people just assume that you're gonna be hanging out with people from your own country. And this is something that I never thought about, and I definitely wanted to have friends from different cultures whose lives looked so different from mine. So that was a struggle, definitely in the beginning, because I couldn't really approach people the way I would have here. It just definitely made it weird and awkward, and it felt lonely at times, and it made me homesick. But yeah, I feel like that's how you get through it and you
Yeah.
learn. So you survive.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay, so being a philosophy student and an actor, do you read too much into people, and does it help you or does it backfire?
Oh, I feel like I too tend to read a lot into situations, and I try to overanalyze everything, because and sometimes I try to overthink. It's as yeah, it's not always healthy, but it definitely makes you more receptive to different perceptions. It makes you more receptive to how things would look like from someone else's perspective, and that's really helpful. It makes you more emotionally mature. Makes you more forgiving, I would say. Forgiving, because you just after one point you start to understand why life looks the way it does, and why people function the way they do. And it's helpful that way, because once you start understanding it, at least in your own ways, you become more forgiving, and you just understand why someone did something that they did. And I don't know, but
Sure.
what do you
So
think?
my biggest takeaway from this conversation, or like having interacted with you, is the fact that everybody who takes up acting as a choice of career, and like does it officially from an acting school, should also primarily study philosophy, because I believe you have so much of self insight about yourself. um like I said, I haven't been in touch with a lot of actors, but whatever I've seen, um I think most of them are like navigating and like clueless or coming from a very dark place. uh Speaking with you, you come with a lot of hope and optimism, so just be the way you are and like stay blessed, and
Thank you.
hoping that and affirming that all of your dreams would come true.
Me too. Okay, Ki, I hope you get the Booker Prize, and I hope I'm
Yeah.
the first one to receive the first draft.
Oh, Tathastu to that. So, what is this big audacious dream of yours?
Oh my God, like winning an Oscar?
Of course.
Why not? I feel like, I mean, the thing is, most people are so afraid to say things like this, in front of people, because they're, okay, it's not going to come true and it's embarrassing. Why is that embarrassing? You can have a dream and it may not come true, but at least you had the dream and people know about it. Isn't that great?
Sure.
So I feel like that would be amazing.
Zooming out, I'm already seeing things. And my second audacious goal was the book becoming a screenplay and winning an Oscar.
Oh, are you going to cast me in it?
Of course.
Imagine.
Because I'm sharing this with you on a public screen, you have to be a part.
I feel like
Let's manifest together.
Yes, I feel like, manifestation can work.
Yeah.
If you let
I'm
it.
believing in it more and more.
Yeah. I feel like you just have to stop letting yourself get in the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
More than people, I feel like
Absolutely.
you're the
Absolutely.
person
Roadblock, biggest
yeah.
roadblock.
Yeah, I mean it's a dream, and we've said it out loud, and it just exists.
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah.
So very recently, I hosted a podcast. I hosted a manifestation coach.
Oh.
And for that particular interview, I did a great deal of research, and I came across a very interesting concepts which I'd like to share with you, like later on,
Oh.
which like strengthen my belief in manifesting.
Okay, so the audience doesn't get it. I do. So it's very exclusive.
yes. Why not?
Absolutely. I would love to hear it. I'm happy that you talked about manifestation. I feel like we need it more and more, especially as artists. Yeah. It's tough out there.